So this is my second video today. I'm doing this because I want to tell you about a dream. Now, I'm not one to go around saying I had a dream every day, right? But this one is specifically for you if you are a Christian man. You should pay close attention to this. I've got a diagram that I'm going to show you as I tell you what the dream was. But you're actually in the dream. And it's not a specific man, it's you. It's every Christian man that this is a threat to. And I'm in the dream with you. Now, this was an interesting dream. I'll show you the layout. I know it's an overly simplistic, kind of childish, but I made it as quickly as I could in a graphics program so you can see. The dream, you and I were in a car, and we got to this place, and the car was broken down. You got out of the car. You took a piece of metal off of it that looked like a gutter pipe, like an enclosed gutter pipe from the house, right? But it was on the car. You took it off and you threw it over the roof of this red house. Now, this red house was unusually small, like short. It looked like it was made for a short person. But you threw it over the roof of this. We couldn't see what was in the back. And this area was not open at the moment. And you went off around the corner. And so I kind of walked after you around the corner to see what was going on. And I came around the corner. This wasn't here yet. I'll explain what this is. It appears later. So I came around the corner here, and you were up in this tree trying to get that piece of metal for the car. Meanwhile, this woman who was extremely short, maybe 4.5 foot tall, and very pale gray. She wasn't a zombie, or she didn't look like she was dead, but she was very pale gray, and she had a very thin nose that came to a point. Nothing like unusual or ugly in that sense, but it was unusually thin. I guess maybe that. And so anyway, when I came around to this place here, about here, I saw up here in the attic part that it had doors that were open. They were just open. No one opened them. They were just open. And there were some people lying up there asleep. Maybe a couple of them were looking at me. I don't know. I don't know what they were. But anyway, they were like smaller versions of her. Or maybe same size. I don't know. But they were lying down there. And I could see them up in there. And then I started hearing children crying in the basement under her house. This was her house. And there were children crying under the basement, under there, crying and also screaming, "Let us out of here. Help us. Help me, let me out. Help me, let me out." It wasn't us, it was me. "Help me, let me out." And there were a bunch of them saying that. Little children. And at that moment, I noticed that there was this square hole in the ground that she was in up to her chest, like to here, and she was trying to pick at my knee with a very long fingernail. And that's when I noticed that she was a witch. She had a witch's hat on. I didn't notice that before. But she's trying to pick at my skin on my knee to try to penetrate it, cut it and get in. And that when I noticed she's a witch, that's when I started backing away from her, and I started backing out of here, watching her, not letting my eye off her. And I told you, "Hurry up, come on, let's go." And I got back here, and I could see there was like a barn door that was open, and there was a big metal plate that had a Doberman pinscher lying on his side. His eyes were open and I could see there was life in his eyes, but he looked like he was dead. And there were 2 dogs on either side, like behind him on the sides, that were small. I don't know if they were small Dobermans or if they were small something else. It was too dark to see, but they were black dogs. And this tray was moving out from the barn door, but I could see some flies, just a few flies at first around the Doberman body, but then they started to grow really fast, like multiply. And the witch was coming this way towards me. And so I quickly backed up to the car here, and I got in the car, but I was yelling to you, come on, let's get out of here, right? And then you came around the corner and got in the car, and we took off from there. I don't know how the car got working. But anyway, we got away from there. Now, here's the shocking part. That was shocking enough, right? But here's the shocking part. Is that after the dream was finished, I then started explaining it to someone in my room. And that someone wasn't actually in my room because it was another dream. I was dreaming inside of a dream. And in that top layer dream, I was explaining the whole dream. And while I was doing that, I was actually saying it out loud in my room. And I know that because I woke up from that second dream speaking, telling the dream. And I realized I was telling the dream to someone inside of another dream that was overlaying it. But I still continued to tell the dream as if the person were standing right there still. And I felt like I needed to complete the telling of it. So now I'm going to tell you what this dream means for you. What do you think it means? Think about it for a minute. You could probably spin off something that makes sense. But just because it makes sense, just because things connect and you can draw a picture from connecting the dots, doesn't mean that's what it is. And I see Christians do this because they want to feel special. This is not about feeling special. This is about communication from the Lord God. And if you say that God said something and he didn't say it, you're in big trouble. You are in big trouble. This is what a false prophet does. So now I waited on this a day, and because it happened last night, and now it's tonight, and it's a little later than when I had the dream, or maybe about the same time. And I'm going to tell you because God showed me what it was. This is a message for you. That's why there was a dream within a dream. Because when I finished that first dream, I was telling it to someone, but I didn't know who they were, but they were in my room. That's you. That's why God put that within that dream, so I would know that it's not about me. I'm in the dream to help you with this situation, this problem that you have and you're vulnerable to. That's why I'm telling you about the dream in the dream. You're in danger of something. And it's something on a scale that you're not paying attention to. The scale is your life scale. And you're not paying attention to it. And a lot of you do not think about the life scale or even the next 10 or 20 years. And you better start thinking about it right now. And you better start acting on it and stop pretending like you're too young to deal with those kind of issues, or, you're not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. No one's ever ready. You've got to do it anyway. You've got to be a man. You've got to do it. Those children who are screaming are the key to understanding what's going on, but the witch is too. Because she didn't seem like a witch at first until she was already in that hole picking at my knee. I was the one who was given that information that she was a witch, so that I could warn you. You are wasting your seeds. Every time you masturbate, every time you watch pornography, you're wasting your seeds. Those are the children crying out from the basement of the house. The witch is the one who's cast the spell on you through pornography. And I'm not joking, and it's not a metaphor. These things are real. In this part of the world, I've discovered that demons come through the water. Water demons are very prolific out here. Ubiquitous. You find them out here a lot. And it's through the water. It's not the only place. There are demons, and they are real. And you've got to stop that. You've got to hold your seed in. You've got to use it to make a family, a godly family, and raise that godly family. Not fornication, not sex outside of marriage, and then get married. If that happens, you still get married and proceed forward. But don't have sex with someone who's not a Christian. And don't have sex outside of marriage. Think about it. She's your sister in the Lord, whom you are supposed to, if you're going to marry her, you're going to present her spotless as a bride. How can you do that if you fornicated with her before you got married? And if you fornicate with someone who's not a Christian even, and I know many of you guys have done that and gotten into situations where you sired a daughter from a non-believer. And then you're caught in a trap. That's right. Tried to help a young man out who had gotten trapped into that situation. He was so dead set on trying to get his daughter away from this woman that he had fornicated with to produce that daughter that he could not move forward with his life. He was trying so hard to find some loophole in the law that he could get her. The court had already decided to give custody to the woman, and he was going to spend the rest of his life if he needed to try to get his daughter back. You need to stop using pornography. You need to stop doing that. Hold that in and be respectable. Stop sinning. I know you feel like you can't, but you can, and you better stop. I just revealed to you that this is run by witches who are trying to steal your seeds and put them in the basement of their houses. They're not going to let them go. Those belong to them. They cast a spell on you. You know who the Doberman is? It's you. You're under her spell. You belong to her. You are her dog. She's just keeping you alive in order to produce more flies. That's it. You're kept just barely alive enough to where you're producing more flies. You're dead, but she's keeping you alive, animated, to produce more flies. And you notice that the flies and the Doberman were in effect that were being used to try to scare me, minister of God, who is here to help you. Better pay attention. Take warning. When I call you, let's go. We got to get out of here. You got to get out of there. You've no business there anymore. In the scriptures where it says that Jesus is our ransom, that word is not ransom. The word is lutron in the Greek, which means a tool to loosen. He is our tool to loosen us off from sin. And if you do not use Jesus to loosen yourself off from sin, because it's in the middle voice, it means to loosen ourselves off from sin. It's a tool to loosen ourselves off from sin. If you do not do that, then you are going to remain there in this witch's compound. You will not be able to escape. And every seed that she makes you to spill will be put in that basement under there. And you will hear the child that was supposed to be produced from it crying out, "Help me! Get me out of here!" But you never will. You will be unable to. And you will be lying there like a dead dog, but still alive, producing flies as you fornicate and spill your seed until you grow old. And you find out you have no children, you have no family. And decades have passed until it's time for you to go. You don't want to do that. Listen. Pay heed to my warning. This dream came to me for you. May the Lord bless you as you seek Him with all your heart.